So this video is going to be something a bit new for the channel. I've never really done a news roundup featuring multiple games. Usually when I cover news, I just make one particular video about one particular subject, and that formula works for the type of channel that I run, but it specifically only really works when I'm focusing on one game. When I have one game that's coming out that I'm particularly excited about when I cover it. Examples of that in the past have been Jump Force and Injustice. When I cover those games, it makes sense that I do one video on one particular news subject because there's so much news surrounding one thing that I'm so excited about. But right now, there isn't anything specific I'm looking forward to. There are a couple unannounced games that I'm looking forward to. There's the potential Arc System Works Bandai Namco game, which if that's happening, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear about it relatively soon, at least within the next 6 months, hopefully. There's the Demon Slayer project, which of course we know very little about, and of course Project L, the League of Legends fighting game. I'm also very much looking forward to that. But regardless, we don't have any of those games to talk about right now because there's no news surrounding any of those projects. So instead of making a small news update about a specific game, I thought instead I would do a more general news roundup for all things anime gaming that's happened in the last week or so. I don't know how often I'll do these types of videos. It's probably going to be a pretty rare thing. It's just there was a lot of news this week, but not one particular thing that I was quite excited about, so I decided to not make any individual videos and instead group them all together. So let's get this news roundup started with a bunch of Dragon Quest Adventure of Dai. If you have no idea what exactly Adventure of Dai is, you might remember the character from Jump Force. His anime originally aired in the early 90s, but the series is getting a whole new fresh coat of paint thanks to the 2020 anime adaptation by Toei Animation. We don't really talk about anime production here on this channel because it's just not really what we talk about. We focus on video games, but because it is related to a bunch of news we're going to be talking about in this video, the remastered version or the rebooted version of the Adventure of Dai anime will be releasing in October this year. But that's not all Dai's got going for him right now. There are 3 brand new games that have been announced based on Dragon Quest Adventures of Dai, or Adventure of Dai. The first of which we won't spend too much time on because it's only going to be released in Japan arcades. It's a card game. I don't exactly know how it's going to play out, but it's a card game of some sort. I like card games, but again, it doesn't really apply for us because it's only going to be releasing in Japanese arcades. For the very small percentage of you who watch my videos and happen to live in Japan, that game will be releasing in arcades this fall, and it's titled Crossblade, spelled with an X, because it's so cool. For those of you not in Japan, there is a brand new game based on the same franchise releasing for iOS and Android. The title of the game is Tashi no Kizuna. It's being called an RPG. It looks kind of like a turn-based RPG to me, or at least some type of mixture of action and turn-based, but it's not being specifically described as turn-based, so I'm guessing there's something extra going on here that I'm just not seeing on face value. I'm not exactly sure what to expect here. It looks pretty cool visually, so if you're a Dragon Quest fan of either the games or, of course, the anime, perhaps keep your eye out for this one. Currently, it's only announced to be releasing in Japan as of 2021. There's no exact release date, just 2021. But if you are particularly interested in this game, of course, there's tons of different ways of accessing Japanese Play Stores, either on iOS or Android. You have to jump through some extra hoops, but it might be worth it for you. Probably the most exciting piece of news out of all of this Adventure of Dai news is Adventure of Dai Infinity Strash. It's an action RPG based on the beloved series. It seems to be very story-driven, and it looks pretty fun. I saw some people complaining about the graphics, but honestly, I think people have just been spoiled by the likes of CC2 and Arc System Works, man. You can't expect every game to look like a CC2 game or an Arc System Works game. I think this looks fine. It doesn't visually look amazing. I mean, it's still in development and it can get better, but it's definitely possible. I think it looks pretty. My only exposure to Dai as a character was through Jump Force, or at least my initial exposure to him. I've seen a couple clips of the original anime because I had to do some research for some Jump Force stuff, but I've never watched the original anime, and I was excited to jump into the new anime adaptation, and if I end up liking the anime adaptation, of course, I'll be looking forward to this action RPG as well. But that's all the news for Adventure of Dai. They got a bunch of new stuff announced, so if you're already a Dragon Quest fan, you've got a lot to look forward to in 2020 and 2021. Moving away from that for a second, though, I want to talk about some sports anime, specifically Captain Tsubasa. Captain Tsubasa Rise of a New Champion's got an official release date trailer. The game's going to be dropping in late August, and it's looking like a pretty refreshing take on an anime game. I've definitely got my eye out for this game, but I'm not already a fan of the series, so I'm not overly excited about it. I'm interested in trying it out, and I wanted to watch the animated series, but it's not on any of the streaming services I use. It's not on Funimation, it's not on my Australian website Anime Lab, it's not even on Crunchyroll, which I was pretty surprised about. So my first experience with the Captain Tsubasa series will probably end up being this video game. I don't know if I mentioned this the last time we talked about this game, or it might have even been announced at the time, but I thought it was worth mentioning anyway. The game is releasing on Nintendo Nintendo Switch as well, which is exciting for me because I play most of my games on Nintendo Switch, assuming I'm given the option. If it's like an online competitive game, generally I try to play it on whatever I can get the best performance out of. But assuming all else equal and I can just play the game on Nintendo Switch as intended, generally I'll play my games on Nintendo Switch. So hopefully that ends up working out just perfectly for Captain Tsubasa, Rise of New Champions. If you're still playing One Punch Man: A Hero Nobody Knows, you'll be happy to know that Watchdog is the next character to join the roster, at least according to the most recent Weekly Shonen Jump scans. Watchdog is a character I was looking forward to, but most of my free time today is being spent on League of Legends and Mortal Kombat when I'm playing a console game. So I don't see myself going back for very long, but of course I'm going to jump in and try out some Watchdog once he's released. We've got more news about Kimetsu No Yaiba's video game. No, not the PlayStation 4 game, unfortunately, but the survival game being released on mobile. I hope you're excited about this game because quite frankly, it looks pretty interesting. Sadly, this particular piece of news isn't very exciting. It's just confirmation of playable Nezuko, which, come on, of course Nezuko is going to be playable. The part about this that is exciting is that we're officially in the news cycle for this game. So we should start hearing more news about this mobile Kimetsu no Yaiba game every couple weeks or so, definitely at least once a month. Hopefully we're not too far away from getting that exact same treatment for the Demon Slayer PS4 game. Now before we end off this video, I want to thank DB Hype for initially tagging me in his post about One Punch Man: A Hero Nobody Knows. I appreciate it when people tag me and let me know that there's new stuff happening, just in case I missed it. Most of the time I've probably already seen it, but I still appreciate it when people go ahead and tag me because there's a chance that I might have missed it, there's a chance I might have been asleep, so I'll give credit where's credit's due. Thank you for tagging me in that. So there you go, that's the news roundup. There's been a couple of new games announced, specifically for Adventure of Dai. There's a new character announced for A Hero Nobody Knows, and Nezuko will be playable in the announced Demon Slayer survival game. And of course, we got an official release date for Captain Tsubasa, which is awesome. Let me know if you would like more videos in this format. When it comes to big individual games that I cover in the future, something that I'm really excited about, I will always do one piece of news per video. That's just so I can go into detail about what that one piece of individual news means for the entire game, and I can really have an in-depth discussion about what that means for the game if I'm really excited about the game because I'm constantly thinking about it. But for kind of smaller stuff like this that doesn't need to be its own video, I think it might be worth compiling it all into one bigger video. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section below. Don't forget to check out displate.com. I'll leave my referral link in the description. You can get 20% off metal posters. My name has been Bilbzy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.